Yay! Alright, here's the art background. Art background is usually the same kind of stuff every year, right, Jessica? So, I want you to watch this about 10 times so you'll have it all memorized, so you'll score awesomely. Or, alright, and Jessica will hunt you down and hurt you, right, Jessica? Alright. Alright, so here we have development of art history. Pliny the Elder, that's 23 to 79 CE. That's, wait. Oh, wow. Yeah, let me just throw this out there. For art scores past year, Eduardo earned a 900 in your face. Jessica with an 880. Oh, she was behind by one question. So that's what you're aiming for, people. It's highly attainable. So Eduardo almost got a perfect score, just 5 questions. So you can do it. You can do it. Okay, so Pliny the Elder, he analyzed historical and contemporary art in his text Natural History. So he wrote a book. So this is the beginning of people critiquing art. And then we have Giorgio Vasari, Italian, and he was living in 1511 to 74, so that's Renaissance era. And he gathered biographies of Italian artists in his book, The Lives of the Artists. So now they're also talking about the artists themselves. And then we have Johann Joachim Winckelmann, 1717 to 68, German scholar, surprise there. And he believed in the rigorous study of stylistic development as it relates to historical context. In other words, how did art or how was art influenced by what was happening in the time period? You know what's happening in the time period, you often have a really good understanding of the pieces of art. All right, so art of the Western world. First, you need to understand the difference between enduring materials and perishables. So, enduring materials are stone, metal, fired clay, and perishables are wood or fiber. Just because some cultures don't have art pieces that are still existent didn't mean that they didn't have art. It's just that some of their pieces didn't survive. So the hot climate in Egypt helped materials survive, and the humid climate in Africa destroyed some of the art. Okay? So in art history, what's being studied isn't necessarily what was best, it's just what survived. All right. So, art of the Old Stone Age, the oldest art that we have are, it's interesting, are cave paintings, Chauvet Cave, in southeastern France. I would never have thought France had the oldest art. And it was discovered in 1994. It dates from 30,000 BCE. And it was created with red ochre, black charcoal. There was a little yellow in there. And what they saw were horses, rhinos, lions, buffaloes, and mammoths. Dun dun dun. And here is a picture. So you can kind of see, here are the animals. All right. Other cave paintings. They were also France and Spain, Lascaux and Altamira. They were 15,000 to 10,000 BCE. They also had horses, lions, bears, bison, and mammoth, and outlines of human hands. Now, they were first thought to be scribbles, but now scholars realize that these were done by skilled artists. May not look skilled to us, but of course, what materials did they have? They didn't have art class. So it actually took skill for them to be able to do what they did, and the fact that it still exists. And they believe that most often what was pictured were hunting ceremonies or other rituals, something important to that culture. So here we have Lascaux again, the cave in Lascaux, and you see the horse and the other animals. And this is the one in Altamira with the bison. And again, it's just really impressive that these have lasted so long with the color. All right. Also, old stone age figures of women, um, big bellies and boobs, best known as the Venus of Willendorf, and that was 28,000 to 25,000 BCE. The facial features are undefined because it wasn't a specific woman. The arms are barely visible. The feet are missing. So these are mainly fertility figures, the idea of a productive woman, not a specific woman. Yep, there you go. Middle Stone Age, the Mesolithic period, is warmer. So instead of having cave dwellers, now have people living in rock shelters, so moving out. And this is going to be 7,000 to 4,000 BCE. Still have animal figures, again, skilled artists. But now we have depiction of human figures, not really done before except in Lascaux. And the human figures show an emphasis on humans dominating animals. So kind of a propaganda thing showing how powerful people were. The New Stone Age, or Neolithic, Stone, Lithic, Neo, New, so Meso, Middle, and the older would be Paleolithic. New Stone Age, you're not going to have rings or rows of rough-hewn stone. They're going to be doing something to the stone. And this is 4000 BCE. The stones are large, 17 feet, 15 tons, so they're megaliths. Again, lith, L-I-T-H, means stone. And you can think of Stonehenge, which is in Salisbury Plain, Wiltshire, England. Stonehenge was built in phases. 2100 BCE, this is when they believed it was made, and it was made of sarsen and bluestone. Sarsen's a kind of stone. Post and lintel construction, that just means you have two pieces standing up straight and then you lay one across the two. And post and lintel construction is the outer ring. The next ring, which is inside, is a horseshoe, and they're made with the biggest stones. And the outside has the heel stone. And here we go. Here's Stonehenge, what it first looked like. This is post lintel, so you have two posts and then a cross. And then this is the heel stone. Okay, and I believe the heel stone, what did the heel stone mark, Jessica? I think it was the solstice, right. So when the sun comes up on the solstice, summer solstice, it strikes that particular rock. All right. Now, ancient Mesopotamian art. There is a valley between the Tigris and Euphrates River, and it is a valley with no barriers, so it was subject to many conquests. And our problem was they used perishables, so little of the art remains. In 4000 BCE, Sumerians started creating buildings and sculptures. Religion was very important, so the temples built had religious purposes. They were stepped pyramids called ziggurats. And in 2334 BCE, we have the Sargon of Akkad. It sounds like some science fiction character. Anyways, art had an emphasis on monarchy, the rulers, the kings and queens. And the rulers were depicted in freestanding and in relief. This here is relief. So it's when they carve into something and what's left kind of poking out is called relief. In 2150, an Akkadian ruled over, and Neo-Sumerian, this is a new Sumerian time, and have King of Ur, who creates more ziggurats. And the ziggurats served as temples and administrative and economic centers. And here's an example of a ziggurat. So it's kind of, you see the steps going up to it. So it's not quite pyramidal in shape, but a little. All right. Babylonians. When you think Babylonians, you have to think Hammurabi. Hammurabi, huge, all right? First of all, he centralized power in 1792 BCE, and he is known for creating a set of laws. So you'll often hear Hammurabi's Code. And a best-known piece of art from this part is a stele. Stele is just a rock chunk, basically, with part of the law written on it. And so the law, you really can't see it, but it's carved in here. And on the top, we see Hammurabi with the sun god Shamash, probably the sun god handing him some of the laws or being an influence for the laws. The Assyrians are in the north, And in 900 to 600 BCE, they're into relief carvings, and the relief carvings are of hunts, battles, or important events. And in 612 to 538 BCE, Babylonia again becomes powerful, and here we have the famous Hanging Gardens. The Babylonian gardens were known as one of the original 7 wonders of the world. Okay, Ishtar Gate. This was a gate to the ziggurat of the Temple of Bel. It's one of the greatest works of architecture. It's still in existence. You can still go see it. And you'll notice on it are little animals. So the Ishtar Gate. And if you don't know, Ishtar is also one of the worst movies ever made. Persian art, 538 to 330 BC. They were known for architecture. And here's the palace at Persepolis. Stone, brick, and there was some wood. And you'll see down here, this is relief carving. Ancient Egyptian art, 3500 BCE to 330 BCE. It ends when they are conquered by Alexander the Great. And what was accomplished during this time? Of course, the Sphinx, the pyramids at Giza, giant statues of pharaohs, and we have the portrait head of Queen Nefertiti. And most of their art is hierarchical scale. The more important you were, the bigger your statue would be, or if it were in relief painting, your figure would be bigger than the others if you were more important. If you were not important, you just be little. All right. And the palette of King Narmer, this was a stone palette for cosmetics. You'll notice on this, the king is the largest figure because he's the most important. And he's holding the hair of a fallen enemy, and he has an arm raised to kill him. Below him are 2 smaller images of defeated enemies. Of course, they will be depicted smaller. So again, the figures are shown in fractional representation. Who's important is bigger, who's not important is smaller, and it's standard Egyptian style. So again, here is the king. He's the largest. And then these are enemies, so they're smaller. And here he is getting ready to kill him. Isn't that nice? Egyptian tombs, so well known. Most famous, obviously, is King Tut's. King Tut ruled from 361 to 352 BCE. And his tomb was intact until 1922 when Carter found it. And the most famous piece from his tomb is the burial mask. It is gold and decorated with blue glass and semi-precious stones. Here we have it. I'm sure you all have recognized this. And just an amazing piece. And amazing that, because it was kind of hidden, which is why it wasn't discovered till 1920. Nubian art. So this is south of Egypt, and it's a big part of Africa. And then we have Cycladic, Minoan, and Mycenaean art. So the Aegean island cultures, kind of around Italy. Cycladic was 320 to 2000 BCE. Simplified geometric nude females, decorated pieces of pottery and marble bowls and jars. Minoan, they're on the island of Crete. Think of Minos, city of Knossos, where Minotaur and Labyrinth. And Maze was the actual royal palace. The art depicted sea life because they live by the sea, and statues of female snake goddesses. Their paintings were frescoes, so they were on walls or on pottery, and they had important architecture for palaces, so they did quite a bit. And we're going to end part 1 here.